Oh, here we go. Meeting is now live. Let's see. Are we live, everybody? Can anybody see us? Now if I can get to my... Okay. I'm going to plug in my headphones so we don't have all this back and forth, okay?
Okay.
I'm hearing everything twice.
I can't hear you.
Okay. This is the good one. All right. Looks like I'm not working. This is the good one. Okay, Johnny, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, so we can see ourselves and then it's late going to YouTube. So we're just gonna have to figure it out. Let me make sure everything is off in the background. Just give me 1 second. Oh. Am I in, Johnny?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, but now I don't see us on YouTube. Wow, what's that?
Mine says it's live.
Oh, are we still live on YouTube, everybody? Because now everything's better on our end. Okay, well, it still says we're streaming, so we're just gonna go with it. Oh, good, they can hear us. Okay, Johnny, so tell everybody who you are and about yourself.
Alrighty, so my name is Johnny or Jonathan Oswald. As you have probably seen, this is my mom that I'm talking to right now. Currently living in Tampa, Florida, going to the University of Tampa. I'm majoring in human performance with a concentration of exercise physiology. So mainly that would lead to being a personal trainer, working with people individually, or being a strength and conditioning coach for various kinds of athletes and different individuals, no matter what situation they're in, no matter what their body type is. And so that's kind of what I'm doing right now, but I'm also a part of this organization called KHRU, which we'll talk more as we get into the interview.
Great. Yes, let's start talking about it like now because I'm super excited. So for those of you that don't know, my name is Casey Oswald, Johnny's mom, and also known as Sadie's mom. Thanks for coming to the channel. Today or yesterday, Johnny posted a Facebook post about his mission trip. And although I know I can donate and help that way, I thought maybe we could reach more people and help his mission this way. So I wanted to do more, and this was one small way that I felt that I could help. So feel free to ask questions in the chat. I do see that it's a little bit slower getting to YouTube, so just bear with us a little bit. Yeah, so let's get started. Johnny, what is your role with the ministry you are currently a part of?
So the ministry itself is called KHRU, which used to be called Campus Crusades for Christ. But we shifted the name to KHRU because no one likes using the whole 10-word long thing to name our organization. And so basically the idea of the ministry itself is to really bring in the community as a whole, to not make people feel like they're spread out, because we definitely live especially the area that I live in, it's very scattered. There's various kinds of pockets at the university. And so our goal and our mission is to accept people and bring people in and make them feel loved. As we go through different parts of the Bible, or even simply just hanging out with them. Like, we have various events of like simply just going to play volleyball or going to the basketball courts with some of the guys. And so I think the biggest thing is just to show love on our campus.
Oh, I'm so proud. Okay, so what is the cause that you are currently working on now?
Okay, so the mission trip itself is through a group called Filter of Hope. And Filter of Hope is an organization that is actually all over the world. We've been partnering with them for the last 4 years, at least UT has. And we will go for spring break to all these different countries. This year, we have the opportunity to go to Panama. But in the past couple of years, we've gone to Guatemala and El Salvador. This is actually going to be my first international mission trip, which I'm super excited about. But when we go into Panama itself, we're going to be handing out water filters to those who don't have clean water. The Filter of Hope organization actually has state-of-the-art technology to be able to create clean water out of dirty water using the same technology that you would find in like cleaning out your kidneys and those kinds of things. So it's definitely something that has been useful. There's been thousands of lives that have been impacted through this filter. And so our job and our role is, when we go into Panama, to actually go to these individuals' houses and be able to hand them and supply with them a physical need that they're able to use even within their homes.
Mhm. Good. So I keep checking the chat to see if we have any questions. So that's why I keep looking down. I did want to say that his Facebook post actually, can I read your quote from the Facebook post?
Sure.
Okay, so his quote that got me thinking I needed to do more was, did you know, according to the World Health Organization, 1 child dies every 20 seconds due to water-related illnesses? Can you imagine having to drink water from a river contaminated with animal waste? Did I tell them the date yet? On March 7th, Johnny will be going. He's going to head to Panama with his team. And so they're going to be there to try to fill a need. So I really thought that quote, and I know most of the people on my channel are teachers or parents, and we love to help where we can, not only kids, but families. So I thought it was very important. And, when I read that, I was like, oh, what can I do? So, okay. I see the chat. No questions yet. All right. Okay, Johnny. So I already answered, when do you leave? Do you want to tell us anything about your trip? Or
Yeah. So there are a couple places that we're looking like we're going to be going to. There are a couple options. We're still looking at the exact details because some areas that we'd be going to are a little bit more dangerous. But regardless, we're going to have a guide in all these different areas. We're going to have interpreters and translators and all that stuff. So they know the exact areas where there aren't clean water or where there isn't clean water. So we'll be able to go to those specific areas. There are actually some areas that we might need to take a boat out there because of the fact that the area simply doesn't have access to clean water as it is.
wow.
There's definitely some areas in Panama itself that have that need for clean water, but there's also a lot in Panama City itself that doesn't have, like, their community doesn't have clean water. And so the idea would be to really go into the city, really trying to fulfill a physical need, while at the same time trying to fill in a spiritual need when necessary, especially because a lot of them in Panama itself have really understand what it means to grow as a Christian, but a lot of them don't see the correlation with what a water filter actually does. And so with a water filter, it actually takes out all the dirtiness that is in the water itself and it turns it clean. And so when we go to Panama, we basically associate that with a spiritual need of saying, hey, like what God can do is that he actually filters that out for you so that it doesn't feel like you're living a life of dirtiness. You're not feeling a life of hopelessness or loneliness. And so it's just a great correlation to be able to show like, hey, we're helping you with a physical need. And of course, that's something that we should always be doing. We should always be looking for physical needs. I feel like a lot of times we put ourselves in situations where we're only trying to fill in a spiritual need, and a lot of people don't understand that. But when you're able to put in a physical need and be able to show a correlation between the two, then it makes it way more meaningful when you talk about the spiritual need itself.
Right. It definitely makes sense. So you have some questions coming in the chat. I saw from Danny. Where did they go? Danny wants to know if you're excited, and she asked if you were nervous.
Excited, absolutely. I'm, like I said, this is my first international mission trip. I actually did a mission trip to right outside Mobile, Alabama, working with a lot of kids who are actually don't have parents, or they are just in a very bad situation. I know that one of the areas that we went into, 50% of the houses themselves were actually firebombed. And so just the area itself was very run down. But the more that I continue to go on these mission trips, it definitely shows that like I want to go further and further into these kinds of things. Which I actually just went to a conference not too long ago. It's called Passion. And it was from December 31st through January 2nd. And Tim Tebow was actually there, and he said this quote that actually has stuck with me all the way through, today. And he said, your goal should never be to be about success. Your goal should be about significance, being significant. And so to think about that aspect of like success, it has always to do with yourself. Significance always has to do with someone else. And so if you think into that perspective of like, oh, I'm doing this because I want to make people feel loved. I want them to feel like they're significant, they're valued. It changes the way that you think about going on a mission trip, because it's never about fulfilling your own need, but it's more about, hey, I want people to feel loved. I want people to feel valued. So I'm going to go into these places.
That's great. And I'm just sitting here thinking, wow, I can't believe you're 21 and just where you're at in this stage and at your age. It's just, you're doing amazing things. And I know I'm your mom, but I'm I think I'm saying it for everyone that's on this chat over here. Let's see. Danny had another one. Where are you? Do you think this will change your life perspective? Wow, Danny, you got some good questions.
Life perspective. I think it'll give me a new perspective. But I don't think that it would completely change my perspective. And I think the reason why is because since I have become a Christian, I've been able to expand my perspective. I've been able to move and see different people in different stages of life, whether it's people that are struggling with depression or people that are simply just like having family issues. And so being able to look at it, like I've been blessed to have a family that, is loving and continues to grow and continues to just be there for one another. And so to look at it from someone else's perspective, like I don't have that, gives me a newer perspective, but it doesn't actually change my perspective. And so I feel like it's going to be a similar situation of going into Panama, knowing that like I have seen kids that have been really struggling with getting water in Alabama as it is. But then on the other hand, like a lot of them are living in like these cement structures. It's not even houses. They don't have doors or anything like that. And to think about Panama is, I want to say they're right now around 95 degrees. So there's still a lot of heat. There's still a lot of humidity and all those things in the area. So it'll definitely give me a new perspective as to like how to approach different people. But I still want to be able to keep the same perspectives that I've been learning in these past couple of years.
Good. So we have some that are trying to get into the chat and they don't know how. And my mom was trying to call into the chat. So for those not on that are not used to YouTube, I've just gotten like a bunch of messages on how do I get into YouTube? So could one of my YouTubers post the link to my Facebook? Would that be possible? So my mom and the rest of my family can find us. Okay. So my friend Cindy said, just a tip, don't drink the water. 2 of her kids went on trips like this and they ended up getting sick. Danny said she loved your connection. I believe that was to getting rid of all the impurities. Is that a good word I'm looking for? Hey, Kim. Sorry, they're saying hi to me. And Danny said she loves that quote, and you did good, Casey. Oh, thanks, Danny. I've got some great kiddos. Hello, Amanda. Oh, Danny, I know. Danny's children are younger than you and Sadie's, and she said she could cry thinking about her own son and his future. Gotta love that good heart. So, any other questions here? Let's see. Cindy said, I don't think we can support young people enough with this heart. Save our world. Witty Jesus, of course. Good answer. Danny liked your answer to her questions. And Teacher Kim wants to know, what are you most excited about and what are you most worried about?
Oh, that's a good one. Alrighty. Most excited. Personally, I would say I'm most excited for the unexpected. Of course, going into a different country, because I have not been to Central America yet. I think being able to go into a country not knowing what to expect is almost like the adrenaline rush that you get, which is super exciting and nervous at the same time. But I always enjoy not having as much structure or not feeling like I have to get specific things done. And so for me to feel like, oh, I'm going into a country where I get to see specific needs and just go to those specific needs and be able to fulfill them in the best way I can. I think that's the part that's most exciting. When we're talking about most worrying or most nerve-wracking, I think that's going to come down to, I think it's a very similar answer to what I'm most excited about. And I think the big thing for me to keep telling myself is the fact that I'm having to talk to a translator and have that translator talk to someone else and then have it go backward. I don't know. It's just, it seems like a conversation would take a while to develop because of the fact that it goes through, you know, so many different people. But at the same time, I think it's really cool that there are translators that even just want to go to these places and that's their job. So to be able to go into a country knowing that there are people that see the need and based off of the gifts that God has given that individual person of, hey, my job is to help translate. So then that way people who are native to the country itself are able to understand exactly what these Americans that are going into these areas are doing. Like I have so much respect for what they're doing because they could honestly be doing anything anywhere with the gifts that they have. So
one of the questions I saw in here was, is this your first time abroad? So actually, Johnny grew up abroad. He didn't move to the States until he was going to college. So growing up abroad, though, you know how to use body language to get your point across. So do you think that has a little bit of an advantage that you've been overseas or abroad to maybe communicate with others, or do you think that's helped?
I definitely would say that it helps, especially when it comes to recognize the fact that you don't know the language going into whatever country you end up entering. And so I think the biggest one that I can remember is actually going into Germany for sure, especially on the outskirts, because we lived in a spot that's right next to the base. So a lot of people spoke English, and it's just like, okay, like there's not much in body language that you're able to translate from because everyone's speaking English there. But if we're talking about going to like a couple hours north or a couple hours west or east, you're able to actually see like what people are trying to say based off of their body language. And I think that that is a huge thing that honestly this world tends to forget. We tend to base things off of what people say and what people post. And I think that is the big reason why people are into social media so much right now, is because of the fact that they're able to hide their body language. And so to be able to go into Panama and say, like, I can actually not see through you, but be able to see your body language. Yes, there's times that it can be nerve wracking, but at the same time, for me to be able to show my body language and be able to show love, I think is going to change the perspective of people that are in the country itself to be like, okay, like maybe I should be more comfortable with showing my body language. Maybe I should feel okay sharing my feelings or sharing my emotions, or because I know that we're going to the areas where people are going to be struggling. Like people are just not going to be satisfied with their life. But at the same time, for us to look at that and be like we should honestly feel lucky to be in a situation where we know we have clean water, we know we have shelter, we know we have food. But also at the same time, being more attentive to people that are in this area and be like, there's a need that needs to be fulfilled, and whatever it takes, we're just going to go in there and do it. Great.
Okay, you've got some more. How long will you be gone, and where will you be sleeping? I don't know if as a mom I want to know. And your grandmother's on this call, so.
Really? All right.
If she found it, I don't know.
So we are leaving on the 7th and we get back on the 13th. So that just happens to be when my spring break is. Sorry, Mom, I won't be home for spring break, but but we're going to be going to Panama on the 7th, go through the 13th, and we're actually staying at like it's kind of like a hotel in the complex that we're staying at, where they talk about what the water filter is and all those different things. And so that's basically the area that we're going to be staying at. We actually have to bring the water filters with us when we go to Panama. And so one thing that I would like to say, like, as we keep moving in this going live, whatever money that I raise, even after the money that I have to raise, actually goes towards more water filters. And so anything, like any kind of donations would help significantly, because of the fact that that just means I get to hand out more, and I'm able to be a part of, and you get to be a part of all the different lives that we're going to be impacting when we go down there.
Good. Do you speak any of the language?
So it's funny because I was actually thinking about this. Like I should have kept going. Oh, sorry. I should have kept going with my Spanish speaking, but I ended up not doing that. So yeah, I lost all of it. I'm not gonna lie. I lost a lot of it. I spent 3 years in high school learning Spanish and being able to speak a little bit And then when I went to college, I ended up taking the elementary review, which was definitely a good refresher, but it's been 2.5 years since I've taken that class. So I lost a lot of it. I probably should have went back into it.
Yeah. That's okay. It's all part of it, right?
Yep.
So teacher Danny said, wow, did he grow up in Germany? You want to take that one?
Yeah. So I actually been bouncing around. Started off, I was actually born up near Pensacola, about 30 minutes from there, 30 to 45 minutes from there. And then when I was 2, we ended up moving to Japan, and I was it was like right outside of Tokyo. We were there for 5 years, and then we moved north to Misawa. And that was like an 8-hour drive from where we were, and we were there for 2 years. And then after that, we ended up moving to Germany, and we were there for, at least I was there for 7.5, 8 years. And then ended up coming here right after that. So yeah, I've been bouncing around a lot.
Not so bad.
No.
Compared to most military families every 2-3 years, we've been pretty fortunate. So, okay. Yes, body language is very important. There's a couple of posts about that. And teacher Danny said he has a calming demeanor, which will help people open up to you. And Marianne agreed. Thumbs up. Oh, thanks, Cindy. Danny said, hopefully these missions will help you remember, and speaking it always helps. The Spanish will come back. It's in your subconscious. And
I hope
yes,
so.
yes, Danny, we traveled a lot. And when you were talking about using body language, it made me think of baseball in Poland with all the different countries coming together and all of us trying to talk, and all of you boys trying to play with, well, there was a few girls on the teams, but playing with the other kids and learning each other's games and talking and things. So, well, let's see. Do we have any other questions? Oh, how can people help?
So there's a few ways, actually. I think one of the biggest things is definitely prayers and just getting out the word. As I mentioned that quote of one child in 20 seconds, like, to think about the fact, honestly, we take these needs for granted. We simply just every day, it seems like we just walk through life as if, oh, we always have this, like everyone in the world has this. But to think about 1 in 20 seconds, like that is a drastic number. It just makes me think about one of the images that Tim Tebow showed. It actually won the Pulitzer Prize in the 90s. And it's a picture of this child who honestly was skin and bones. Like there was just no muscle, no anything. And behind that actually was a vulture. Actually getting ready to, like, when the child died. And so it's just, he started talking about like this picture, and what ended up happening was, I don't mean to go down by any means, but the person that actually won the prize ended up killing himself because of the fact that he didn't do anything about it. He took a picture and then just walked off. And for him, he knew that there was something that he had to do. He knew, like, oh, I should just try to pick him up. But the thing is that the rule of the land said that you are not able to touch these people because they could possibly have diseases. And so the process, like the thinking of like, oh, I'm worried that I'm going to get a disease, or I'm worried that I'm going to get sick. Even though this child was literally on like the verge of death, really made me think about like the importance of this mission trip, of like, there's going to be kids that are almost at that point, whether that is in a physical way or in a mental state of like, I don't understand why I'm living. And so to be able to go into Panama with just the joy that I've been able to experience and the love that I've been able to experience, even in times where it feels like there's ups and downs. I mean, I feel like everyone needs to recognize that you're in an up and down. Everyone needs to recognize the points that you're in. If you think that life is a plateau, then I want to ask, like, are you really living your life to the fullest? Because in the end, we don't learn unless we go through failures. And if we go through failures, we're going to have to hit a bottom at some point. And so for us to be able to go into Panama with the perspective of like, these kids are going to be hurting, these families are going to be hurting, and to bring joy and hope into their lives, like that just goes back to the quote of like, don't be successful, be significant. And so that's just been the big motive. Sorry, went way far off the question. But the other way to do it is through donations. And so there's going to be a link that is going to be posted. I don't know exactly where the link is going to be dropped, but
I'll post it everywhere I can, Bubba. Everywhere I can. I will post it to the bottom of the YouTube. I will post it to my Facebook, and hopefully some will be able to share it if they can. So
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, through the donations and just getting the word out to people, you know, for anyone that honestly just feels like that this is a need as well. And so when you go to the actual link, it'll tell you like it's a custom amount of donation, so you don't need to feel like, oh, I have to give this amount or anything like that. And so the money that I have to raise all the way through February is $1,700.
Okay.
That's the goal that we're trying to go to. My personal goal is I want to expand further, just so I have the opportunity to give out more water filters. For me, it's definitely not based off of like, oh, I have, you know, I'm able to give out more water filters, but it's like, hey, more people are going to be impacted because of the fact that we have more money to be able to do so. So that's like my own personal goal. But honestly, any donation helps significantly. Being able to pray for me and my team, because our team actually is very young. It's going to be me as a senior, and all the rest are sophomores and freshmen. So
fun.
which honestly, I'm actually really excited about because of the fact that I have been discipling and mentoring these kids for the past year, some 2 years. And so it's just awesome to see how much they've grown in a matter of 2 years or 1 year for that matter. And so those are like the two big ways, being able to just lead a team again. This, you know, for this team going to someplace I haven't even been to.
Especially with such an amazing big cause such as this. So I will say, before we started this, I saw your goal and I was thinking, well, how can we get him to his goal? But now I think I'm on a mission with you as far as trying to beat this goal and helping more people. I guess it didn't really hit me until we're on this talk about, I mean, I knew it was big and I knew it was important, but I didn't realize how much we could do just from our own homes. So, okay, there's just a few things in here. Teacher Kim wants to know, how much have you raised so far?
So currently I'm at $525. And that is been through a lot of my friends, my mom's friends along the way. It was super cool. I was actually able to talk to one of my old friends who I actually coached one of their sons back in Germany. And that was super cool, just being able to go back and talk to them and just thank them for the donation. And I think one of the biggest things that has really been eye-opening to me in just this short amount of time of raising funds and stuff is actually, there's two things. One is the reliance that I have to have on other people, knowing that I can't raise that money by myself. And that has totally changed my perspective, because I feel like, especially today, like the world that we live in, we are so focused on like, oh, I can do this next thing. Oh, I'm able to get all this money in. Oh, I'm able to make this person change their entire life, when in reality it takes a whole bunch of people to be able to do it. And so I think about it a lot, like you're making a cake, for example. Like, you need a whole bunch of ingredients to make a cake. If you think that flour is just going to be thrown into an oven and then
why
it
not?
becomes a cake, like, nope, like that's just not going to happen. So to think about the perspective of, you are an ingredient and you need to have these other ingredients to be able to make a cake. It really goes to show like how much I need help. And so I just think that is super cool at the same time, because of the fact, rather than thinking about like, oh, if you guys can help me, I need money. Like, I'm thinking about it with the perspective of like, no, I want you, like, I need you to help me.
Right.
Because of the fact that I know that having all these ingredients are going to make something really good. And so I think that's another perspective. Like, I'm super excited just to be able to talk to people, one, that I haven't talked to before, but at the same time, talk to people that like I remember I had one of my teachers from 8th grade ended up donating. And I was like, I haven't talked to you in like 5 years, but at the same time, I'm able to go back and actually talk to them. Yeah. You're like, hey, how's everything going? Like, it's been forever.
Because they're still all friends with me. They're watching you. Well, you just didn't know they're still watching you. Great. So Marianne said, thanks for sharing this. God has called you to serve him here. And Teacher Kim said we can share it for him as well. So she's going to share. And Danny, the kindness of strangers is an amazing thing. And the Lord is in control.
Absolutely.
So, wow. Anything you want to end on, or anything I've forgotten to say? Marianne, the Lord will put this on people's hearts. So.
I think the one last thing that I would say is, don't, at least for me, and this is something that I always have to remind myself, is don't feel like you have to change everyone. Don't feel like you have to, like for me, I don't have to feel like I need to go into Panama and go to each person and significantly impact everyone's lives. Honestly, some people are going to be in a spot where I might be that one thing that changes their lives. But on the other hand, some people are going to be in a state where I might just be planting a seed. And sorry, I keep bringing up passion, but there have been so many different images and so many different stories and analogies that have really just been sticking to me. And one of them was talking about faith and how you just need to trust the fact that even though you're the one that is planting the seed, it's probably going to take years for that seed to grow. And there was actually, I want to say it's called the Chinese bamboo tree. And this tree, you plant the seed and you water it and, you know, give it sun and all those things for 5 years before it sprouts.
Wow.
But the moment that it sprouts, it grows 80 feet high, actually close to 100 feet high.
Wow.
So to think about it from, like, once again, I keep talking about perspective, but it's so important. You're not there to change every person's life significantly, but you are there to plant a significant seed and see where that ends up taking someone. And so for me to be able to go into Panama with that idea will really help me continue to give me hope, continue to give me joy, even when it feels like some people are just really breaking down or people are really just struggling. Because honestly, there's going to be areas. I ended up talking to one of my friends last year who went, and she talked to me about how some people didn't even accept the water filter.
Wow.
That's just how broken they feel. That's how their heart feels. And so, like, there's times that you just know that people are going to be hurting, but you also know the fact that, like, for me, I have never been so joyful in my life to where, like, going into a country, like, that's not going to change me. That's not going to, like, drain my joy away, if that makes sense. Like, I'm going to continue to have that joy no matter who I meet, no matter the people that I encounter. And to be able to go up to someone and be like, I actually have something for you. Because I know that there's some areas, especially in Tampa, where like you'll see a homeless person, you're like, I don't actually have money in my wallet to give you, like anything. And so to be able to know that I actually have something to give someone, that it's like significantly going to impact them, not even just at that point, but we're talking 20, 30 years that water filter can last. So to be able to go into a place and know that you're able to help out someone really just gives me a lot of peace and a lot of joy.
Even though you have gone and helped the homeless in your community, I don't know, we probably shouldn't go there right now, but you have tried to help many, and I am just super, super proud of you for all that you are doing and all that you've done. And Cindy said, amen, we will be praying. And prayer is very powerful. And Teacher Kelly said, I'm back. She's still live? Yes, I know. I thought this was going to be a quick live, but I feel like this is probably one of my very favorites, just talking about you and this cause. And yeah, I'm just a proud mama. I have I have nothing else to say except, guys, please like this video and share, so we can get a lot of exposure for Johnny and for his trip to Panama and helping with the water. So I don't have anything else to say. Do you?
Nope, I got nothing.
All right. Well, I think that is all for us today. I usually say happy teaching. What should we end with?
Happy mission? I have no idea.
Happy mission, Johnny. Okay, everybody. Thanks for listening and watching. Please, again, I'm not even going to say subscribe, because just liking and sharing this video will get to so many people to help this cause. And that's it. All right, Bubba. I love you.
Love you too.
Can
Thank
I say
you,
that
guys.
live on YouTube? Okay, stop video.